And now we have government members looking to shut down a hearing on a very serious matter with respect to a criminal investigation into the Prime Minister, and we have the Commissioner of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police at the table. This is unacceptable.
Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. After much anticipation, we were gearing up for a meeting by the Standing Committee on Access to Information, Privacy and Ethics that was expecting the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or RCMP, Commissioner Michael Doom to testify as to why the RCMP abandoned their obstruction of justice investigation into Justin Trudeau following the SNC Lavalin scandal.
If you are interested in more in-depth background on this, check out our other video on this here. However, to summarize, a company called SNC Lavalin was charged with corruption and fraud in 2015. Trudeau's then Attorney General, Jody Wilson-Raybould, intended to prosecute SNC, and Trudeau tried to interfere and get her to back off. This was reported to the Globe and Mail, and Trudeau responded by saying this.
The allegations in the Globe story this morning are false. Neither the current nor the previous Attorney General was ever directed by me or by anyone in my office to take a decision in this matter.
Jody Wilson-Raybould didn't like that one bit, so she decided to quit cabinet and testify before committee.
Approximately 4 months between September and December of 2018, I experienced a consistent and sustained effort by many people within the government to seek to politically interfere in the exercise of prosecutorial discretion in my role as the Attorney General of Canada in an inappropriate effort to secure a deferred prosecution agreement with SNC Lavalin.
That led the Ethics Commissioner to investigating and releasing a report which concluded this.
Canada's Ethics Commissioner has found the Prime Minister violated the Conflict of Interest Act and that he did seek to improperly influence then Attorney General and Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould to intervene in a criminal prosecution case involving SNC Lavalin.
Which led to a terribly fake apology by Trudeau when he said,
"We recognize that the way this happened shouldn't have happened. And I take responsibility for the mistakes that I made."
In June of this year, it was speculated that the RCMP were still investigating this, which they subsequently denied. However, this exploded last week when the Toronto Star posted this story, which categorically stated that the reason they stopped was because they were stonewalled by Justin Trudeau and his cabinet.
Ottawa. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police declined to pursue a criminal investigation into Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's actions during the SNC Lavalin affair, in part because the federal police force was thwarted in a bid to get confidential cabinet materials, newly released documents show. Absent those, the records show, the RCMP reviewed all publicly available materials and conducted a handful of interviews before it ultimately came to the conclusion there wasn't enough evidence to pursue a criminal probe. Among the reasons, the fact that former Attorney General Jody Wilson-Raybould, who is at the heart of the incident, never alleged that what was happening was a crime. Given the current legislative framework, the overall assessment of the evidence, and the evidence threshold required for criminal conviction, it is believed there is insufficient evidence to support further investigative actions or a criminal prosecution, reads the RCMP's investigation report obtained under access to information by the group Democracy Watch and shared with the Star.
This led to Conservatives summoning RCMP commissioners to committee to testify about what the Toronto Star found. That was scheduled for today at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then this happened.
Freedom, if I can put it that way, to invite the RCMP of your own wish. We learned late Friday afternoon, I think it was about 5 to 5, around the meeting, that we had discussed, of course, on Wednesday that we would continue our study on TikTok. Usually, a message is sent out 48 hours ahead for any change to schedule, any invitations. I think this was terribly last minute, the fact that you are already discussing the appearance of the RCMP at that time, and perhaps the clerk would be able to confirm that is the case. They were invited Wednesday morning, it seems, to appear before us today. This had not been discussed whatsoever by the committee. I think the committee should at least have had the opportunity to debate a motion presented in due form. I don't think this is necessarily the best way to go forward, having committees unable to make their decisions. So based on this reasoning, I would like to adjourn the meeting.
Okay. Just hang on a sec, Madam Fortier.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
So you're officially moving to adjourn the meeting today?
Yes, I move to adjourn the meeting.
Well, point of order, Chair.
Well, it's a non-debatable motion, Mr. Barrett, unfortunately. Were you asking this on a point of order, Madame Fortier? You were just making a...
Well, Chair, that's not how these meetings are conducted. Yeah. You read your remarks. She interrupted you.
It's not
the witnesses were to give...
I want to hear what he has to say.
The witnesses were to give testimony. And now we have government members looking to shut down a hearing on a very serious matter with respect to a criminal investigation into the Prime Minister, and we have the Commissioner of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police at the table. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable.
I'm going to ask you for a second, please, to just refrain. So, Madame Fortier had the floor. She moved the motion. The motion is not debatable. So we're going to have to go to the vote, and I assume that there's no agreement on this.
Well, certainly there's no agreement to shut down a meeting when we have the Commissioner of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Chair.
Okay, we're dealing with this right now. So I've made my ruling. We are going to go to the vote because it's a non-debatable motion. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Madame Fortier a proposé que la réunion soit ajournée.
Madame Fortier has moved that the motion be adjourned.
Yes.
Ms. Damoff.
Yes.
Mr. Kellaway.
Yes.
Madame Fortier.
Oui.
Ms. Khalid.
Yes.
Mr. Barrett.
No.
Monsieur Gourde.
No.
Mr. Kirk.
No.
Monsieur Villemur. Mr. Desjardins.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeas 7, nays 3.
Okay, thank you. The vote has passed. With apologies to the Commissioner and the Staff Sergeant, this meeting is adjourned.
Michael Barrett and Larry Brock were not about to let the Liberals and the NDP just slither away from this meeting.
So we're here in the Standing Committee on Access to Information, Privacy and Ethics. We literally have the Commissioner for the RCMP in the room. We have a Staff Sergeant from the RCMP in the room. And we have these Liberals right there. The Liberal Vice Chair, Mona Fortier, just moved to adjourn the committee. These Liberals voted to shut it down. Mike Callaway, Parn Baines, hand him off, Iker Khalid, Mona Fortier. That's absolutely unacceptable. Look at them. They're very proud to cover up the corruption of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And so when we have the Commissioner of the RCMP here to answer questions, and we have the cover-up coalition do what they do, and they adjourn the meeting before the Commissioner even read his statement. And so I can tell you that we came here to work. Meeting notice was given, and they are walking out of the room. They're running with their tail between their legs because they're trying to protect a Prime Minister who refused to release information that the RCMP had requested, hiding behind cabinet confidence. Now, the purpose of cabinet confidence, of course, is so that ministers are free to discuss decisions and the details of the discussions aren't released to the media. But what they've used the cabinet confidence provisions for in this case is to conceal information from the RCMP to prevent them from being able to fully investigate the obstruction of justice charges that they were looking at the time. And so it's shocking to find ourselves in a room where in just moments ago these Liberals shut down the hearing. And so we had the commissioner of the RCMP. He was right there just a moment ago. And that's what transparency and accountability looks like after 8 years of Justin Trudeau. I can tell you, for our democratic institutions, this Prime Minister is just not worth the cost, and we're going to have more to say about this.
If you're wondering who is on that committee and who would have voted to shut it down, not to worry, because we have your back. Here are the standing members of the committee. And here are the people who would have voted to obstruct the testimony of the RCMP. So what do we think? Well, first off, they tried to say, as in the Liberals, that it wasn't scheduled in time. Well, I'm sorry, but that's a complete fabrication of the truth. Because here is the Ethics Committee's agenda for the day, and here is where it clearly states the topic they are discussing. So we all know it takes forever to update the government website with any of this stuff. So it was clearly done in time. Now, as it relates to everything that went on, I was waiting to watch this. So, you know, I was doing my work for the day, and then I had this on my other screen, and I was waiting to watch and listen to this. And I was shocked when it came on, and it was this lady Fortier, this Liberal talking. And then she led into, I move to adjourn. And I knew exactly what that meant because they have the majority on the committees with the NDP there. So I knew exactly what was going to happen. But I was stunned. I was just stunned. At least at the committee last week, the Liberals waited 37 minutes for the Attorney General to speak. But I was just gobsmacked when this happened.
It's disgusting to me that, you know, before the Liberals took power, they ran on the campaign promise that they would be the most transparent government and they wouldn't do all these horrible things that Stephen Harper did, like prorogue Parliament and hide things and this and that and whatever. And they are the most corrupt government I think this country has ever seen.
By a country mile.
And the other problem is that Canadians do not realize it. Only Canadians who are paying attention to this stuff. You guys see it. But, you know, your average Joe walking down the street has no idea. And that's why people keep voting Liberal. That's why their numbers are as high as they are. And I know they're the lowest out of the Conservatives and the NDP, but it's still way too high. 24% is way too high.
And it's just disgusting because, you know, naturally and unsurprisingly, mainstream media, not a peep from them on this.
Oh, of course not.
Not surprising at all. But the problem is that's where a lot of Canadians get their information from. It's all over X, which was Twitter, because that's where Michael Barrett posted it to. But outside of there, no one is going to hear of this.
That's why we need you guys to share this to your Facebook, to your Twitter, to your other social media platforms so that Canadians will see this. We're not classified as news, thankfully, so we can still get through the Facebook publication ban. So please, please, please share this video so that other Canadians can see exactly how corrupt these Liberals are.
We're not asking you to share this so we get more views on this. We're asking you to share on this because this is the government of Canada, publicly obstructing an RCMP investigation and then publicly obstructing the Conservatives trying to get some answers from the RCMP on exactly what they went through during that investigation when the government shut them down. And trying to get it on record.
And they're getting more and more brazen. It's been 8 years and they've not been touchable. We need to stop this as Canadians, and the way we're going to stop it is by telling other Canadians the truth.